and welcome! Today we're going to be working on a painting tutorial, and if you're new, also welcome, but be sure to go back and watch my first video. There I will tell you all the supplies that I use and the paints and everything just to get set up. So now let's talk about the painting. Today we're going to be painting a lovely galaxy mountain-esque painting. So it fades from a really, really lovely dark blue to a very brilliant green, and then you have the dark ridges of the mountain in the background, along as a reflection on the very bottom. Now, this piece looks really intimidating, but it's super easy, and I promise you're going to enjoy every minute that you paint it. I sure did. So let's get started. You're going to need your gesso and your foam brush before you start painting to prep your canvas. I use a 2-inch foam brush. You can use any one you like. Now we have our gesso. I prefer the gray gesso because it adds a little bit of color on there and it just makes it easier to start your painting. Here we need your acrylic paints. You can use any kind of acrylic paints. I have a whole bunch of. You're going to need black. Then you're going to need a dark blue. You can use any dark blue. You can even use French ultramarine. You're going to need a white paint, titanium white. I use a heavy body acrylic. And then we have your light blue. And this is a fun color. This is a fluorescent color I got at my local art store, but you don't have to use it if you don't want. And then last but not least, we have phthalo green, and it's a blue shade, and it'll work good for those. Now, in this video, I'm going to show you how to prep with gesso with your canvas. We won't do it for all our videos, but here you take it, and you're going to pour on some. Make sure to shake it up. I forgot to do that, actually. But shake it up, pour it on your canvas, and you're going to spread it around with your foam brush. And make an even coat all the way around, all the way to the edges of the canvas, and then make sure you get your sides too. If you have a wraparound canvas, I like to use those. They're nice, and you don't always have to get a frame for them if you paint the edges. So once that's done, you can actually have to let it dry, and you can put a couple 2 to 3 coats on there. Now we're going to get ready to paint. You have your white, you have your black, you have your dark blue, your phthalo green, optional is the fluorescent green, and then you're going to have your light blue. Now you're going to take your 1-inch brush. I use this one for blending, for smaller things. Sometimes I prefer the smaller brushes. It works easier for me and I like it. I enjoy it. So you're going to take a little bit of your light blue. You're going to pile it on your brush there, and then you're going to put it onto your palette or your board, whatever you're using to mix your colors. You wet your brush, and you're going to get some of that dark blue, and you're going to mix it because we're going to paint the top of the canvas. Get some white in there. You're going to have different consistencies, so it's going to take a little bit getting used to, and it's going to take a while to blend and kind of get the color that you want that we're doing here. And you're going to brush it across the top of the canvas, spreading it evenly to the sides, on the edges. Any way you want to do it is fine. So everyone has a different process to paint. This is how I do it. You want to make sure if you're also using your wraparound canvas to paint the edges. That way, if somebody just decides to hang it up on their wall, or if you decide to hang it on your wall, you won't have to frame it. You could just hang it up and it looks beautiful from all sides. And get the little corners there. There's always spots that you miss. So, but you can always go back and go over. That's the fun part about painting. So, there's no really way to mess this up. You can do it. So there we have that done, and all those sides painted. You're going to get more paint. You even it out a bit. We're going to be blending in colors to one another to get that beautiful fade we have going on from the dark to the brilliant green. So getting some edges. You can clean your brush. It's always important to clean your brush. You don't always want to mix too many colors because it'll muddy up your paint and then you won't get the color you're looking for. I'm going to add some more dark blue. You darken up the top of the sky, and with this paint, since it's water based, you can blend it really easy and get in there, and you kind of have to work a little quickly, but it's fairly simple. And keep blending. It's a lot of blending when you're mixing colors to do the shades. So at any time in this video you have to stop and pause it and work on what you're doing, that's fine, and you can always come back and resume it. You're going to take some more light blue and keep mixing. This is the longest process, blending the colors and making the background, but you should always make your background first. It's easier to put the foreground on afterwards. You paint all the edges. You're just fading it very lightly. We can go back over and put more paint on later, so don't worry if there's streaks or anything. You can always paint over and add more color and make it look better. It's a process and it just takes some time. I find it really calming. I always put on some really pretty music when I paint, and I like that the colors just kind of take me away and we keep painting. There we go. You can see that the color change, it's starting to happen. So from the dark into the light, it's going to be very gradual. So make sure you blend those edges so you don't get harsh lines in your painting. Just keep going over it as many times as you like. Clean off your brush, it's important. I'm always for cleaning your brushes. The paint can harden in them, and then you have to go buy new brushes, and that's expensive. And your brushes can last you a really long time if you take care of them and wash them. And I have some of my grandmother's paint brushes, and she's had them for years, and so you just take care of it and it works. Now we're going to keep mixing our paints. You still want to keep that horizon, and you want to make sure you're blending everything really, really well. So make sure to get the edges, that's important too. And just relax and think of the colors and how it's going to blend together and look really nice when we're done. I think that's exciting. I love finished paintings when you see them and all that work you put in, it's great. So now you're going to take some of that fluorescent green. If you don't, you can use phthalo. But use a little bit, mix it together, and make that green horizon edge that we saw in the beginning where it touched the tips of the mountains. So paint that in there. This can be, pretty free. It doesn't have to be a straight line. You can kind of make it resemble the mountains because that's where that glow is going to be. And don't worry if the color doesn't come out right away. It takes quite a few layers to get that process in. So just blend it as best you can and keep going. Now we're going to take some black and mix it with the dark blue, and then you're going to paint the water on the bottom. That reflection, that dark reflection we have in the mountain. Now when you first paint with acrylics, you're going to realize they don't start off very opaque when you first start painting with them. They're very thin, but the more layers you add, the better it's going to look. So, let it dry in between and, paint those layers, and the colors are just going to pop out. So you keep using your dark blue and your black. Fill in the whole canvas there. Make sure to get water to thin out your paints. You can use a paint thinner if you want, like a glaze. That usually helps thin the paints, but with acrylics you could just use water and it works really good. And everybody has water in their sink, so that's fine. Get all the edges, fill it all out to the very corners of your canvas. Make sure to get that bottom edge. Now I normally paint on a easel stand. I have a big easel and I have a table easel, but for this video I'm just painting on my table. Now we have the basic colors and I went and changed the water. You might have to do that a few times. It can get really muddy and it won't clean your brushes very well, so you just go get a new cup. So I'm going to take some of that dark blue and I'm going to fill in more of the sky and we're going to blend more of that in. So we're adding the second layer of paint. Keep adding those layers and it eventually, you know, gets better. Takes time. But I think this is the funnest part that I like to do, is blending and the detail work. Oh, look, I need more blue paint. That happens too, you know. But don't put so much paint on that, you know, you're not gonna be able to use it. Use only what you're going to use. You end up using quite a bit of your white and your black. Those are the most used. You use those to make tones and hues. So keep blending it out. You'll see some streaks and that's normal. That's normal. You might have to go over it a couple of times. And keep getting the colors and just relax and blend and paint. Sometimes I might be quiet during the painting process. It just takes the time to get through everything and to get down the second to third layers of paint where you want it. So just listen to the music and relax and get all that in. You can see what I'm doing here and with the whites and the greens now to make that really brilliant glow. Blending it in. And I'll be sure to say more when something else comes up that we're going to do. Here we're about on our third layer. You can see where the paint now is sticking a bit better and the colors are more vibrant. It is not as streaky. You can't see the canvas coming through. So here's where you really blend and get those bright colors in there. And here I'm going to use my blending brush. It's a 1-inch brush and I use it to blend all sorts of paintings for backgrounds. It's good for bigger canvases if you want to make bigger paintings. And so I just use it to blend, 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 blend. I'll spread those colors evenly. So here we have another layer of paint. Takes a while, so like I said, if you ever need to pause and you know, stop and just finish what you're doing, you can always replay the video. That's the good thing about videos. You can stop them and start them again when you need to. Here we go. Do you see those colors fading in nicely now? Looks good. Now we're going to do the green part. I'm going to use some phthalo and some of that fluorescent. If you can, those fluorescent paints are so much fun and they're not very expensive. I get mine at Hobby Lobby. I'm sure you could get some at, you know, your local art store. And it just makes the colors just pop. I enjoy painting bright, colorful things. My favorite paints that I'm using now, the Holbein Duo Aqua oils, just their colors are amazing. So you'll notice I paint a lot of bright things, you know, not a lot of muted colors. Everything is very, you know, happy. So I think that's partially due to my childhood and just all the cartoons that I would watch. I like colors. Now we're going to fill in the black. You see that there? It's going on a bit smoother and it's getting rid of all those streaky canvas lines that you see that were when you first put the first layer of paint on. So we're going to go over the canvas. If you want to use a bigger brush, you can. This is just the brush I prefer to use because it's easier for me to handle and it's what I use for paintings like this. Here we go. We got more blue glow. So I tend to paint a bit smaller. I do a lot of miniature paintings too. I might do some speed through video paintings of that in between tutorials, because I do want everyone to paint and enjoy it as much as I do. It's relaxing. It clears your mind too. There we are, we got all our layers. You can see I added some dark up there and then it streaked a bit, but I let it dry. Sometimes you have to let these paints dry a bit before you go put on more layers. That's always important, because if you keep painting and painting and it hasn't had time to cure yet or dry, it's not gonna go anywhere. So let it dry a bit. Come back to it. That's what's fun about painting. You're not gonna finish in, a short amount of time. Sometimes it takes a while to paint. Now here I'm gonna take one of my little liner brushes, my favorite. I like the details. And we're gonna use black. And we're going to put in the ridges of the mountains where that green glow is. So any kind of mountain ridge you want to add in there, any kind of size or style, that's up to you. So you don't have to copy what I'm doing. You can make your own design. That's what's fun about your own paintings. And when you hang them up in your home, you can do whatever you want. And it's fun. And don't worry if you get little lines here and there, of extra paint. You can always fill that in. So now I'm going to take one of my little flathead brushes. I'm going to fill in the black color of the mountain. I'm going to drag it down. Get some water, drag that paint down on the sides from that mountain ridge. Like I said, you can use a bigger brush, but I prefer to use the smaller ones. I have more control that way. So bring all down the black paint until the water's edge. Don't worry if it doesn't fill in all the way. We're going to go back and fill that in, and the water's going to come up and reach the mountain too. So keep going. There. I've just recently gotten into landscape art. I usually do a lot of fantasy, but I find it really therapeutic, and too, it takes me to that place where, you want to be, that serene mountain picture, or that beautiful forest, or, a really lovely beach, I have a lot of memories of going out. I love being outdoors. And I love landscapes, and I've always admired landscape videos, so I thought it'd be fun to make our own paintings of landscapes. Here we are, still filling it in. Sometimes it takes a while. I could use a bigger brush, but like I said, I like more control how I use it. Keeps me from, getting sloppy. But everybody paints differently. You usually find your own groove in your own way to do your own art, and that's okay. Everybody does something totally different. I don't think there's, one, cookie cutter based art that everyone has to do. Everyone is different and does things at their own pace. So there we are. Filled in the mountain ridge, and we blocked it off where our water horizon meets that mountain. Filling in those spots. Now I'm going to use some of that phthalo green and the black and a little bit of white, and keep mixing until you get your desired color. Mine's kind of lighter green. Oh, look, I need more paint. It's okay to stop what you're doing and put more paint down if you need it. Only what you need. So a little bit of black. Now I'm going to paint the mountain ridge in the water. It's going to be a little less dark than the actual mountain in the background, because you want to be able to see that reflection in the water. So I had a good mix of some greens in there, and I'll probably, we'll darken it up. Don't worry about the lines. You can see I'm blending it out. That, and you remember, like, there's more layers to paint. There we are. Keep blending in that color. It's going to come out really beautiful. This doesn't look like much now, but when it's done, you're going to be able to see that beautiful scene on the water that matches the mountains in the background. And it takes a lot of water and paint to blend this all in. And take your time. I only speed up this video so that you can see what we're doing and you know how to create this beautiful scene. Pause it at any time. Look at that. Oh, and we are filling it in. And it's not at a perfect mirror of the mountain on the top, and that's fine. It doesn't, nothing has to be totally precise. That's my rule of thumb anyway. That, or, you know, you'll drive yourself mad trying to make it perfect. So it's all about the process of how you feel and what's going on, what you're thinking about and listening to while you paint. It's not supposed to be rushed. So here we're going to make a little bit of a more blue with that phthalo green and that dark blue. I'm going to paint it in over the top of that mountain in the water, that reflection. And I'm going to get my blending brush again. And I'm going to blend that all in. I'm lightening it up a little bit. We want it to make it look like that reflection in the water. So there, adding a little bit more blue, I'm making another new color. I'm filling it in into the mountain. I'm darkening it just a little bit and blending those colors in to make it a little bit more smooth and natural looking. The water here is very still looking, and so that's how you can get that beautiful reflection of the mountainside and the stars in it. And go filling it in, taking your time. Now we're going to fill in the bottom part of the water that is, you know, reflecting near the mountain. You're just going to drag down your paint. You're going to blend in more colors in this, like we did before in the others. So keep dragging it down. You can darken it a bit, but I'm trying to get that glow in there that you also see in the reflection. So that's why there's some lighter colors in there. You blend it in. Keep blending, dragging down that water, making a really nice reflection. Adding all that in. And fill in the rest. You'll put a little darker color, because you're kind of mimicking the top half that we did. Only the colors are going to be just slightly darker, not as brilliant. It's being seen in the water. Fill in your sides. Paint your edges. Don't forget, so you don't have to mix new paint. There we are. You get a little bit of green now, that fluorescent green and phthalo green. And mix it with some blues. If you notice, I mix all of the colors together, and you don't have to be, you know, precise. It's just whatever feels right to you, whatever color you like. So I'm going to use my little flat brush. This is a short one. I use it for blending and little like short edges. So like there's a lot of edges in this mountain. I just want to put that glow color in there. Just in certain areas, not completely around the mountain, but just little tiny edges. You'll see, just to make that faint, brilliant glow. And it'll make your mountain ridge pop from all that color. Then I'm going to take a little slightly bigger brush. I'm going to blend it out. Blend all of that out into the sky. Just a little bit of water. You can blend and make a really seamless kind of thing. You have to work fast. These paints dry a little bit faster than oils. So, but they give you enough time that you're able to blend if you need to. Sometimes I use my fingers to blend. That's okay. I like it, you know, it just, sometimes it will blend a bit better. So then it would if I were using a brush. And I think it's fun to get paint on yourself. Painting's messy and fun. So now you see I'm adding more white to that green, that fluorescent green. And I'm outlining certain areas of the mountain ridge to make that really pretty glow. If you don't have this fluorescent color, you can use the phthalo green and you can use the white and you can lighten it there. Don't feel you have to go out and buy a whole new set of paints to make this painting. If you have, you know, most of the paints, you can still make it. If you have a green, you can make it. You can even make your own green by mixing yellow and blue. And you can make different shades. You don't have to buy the tube of paint. It makes it easier, but you don't have to break the bank. You can just get the primary colors in black and white and you can make a lot of colors there. I just think the neons are fun though. Now, I'm going to go over the mountain ridges now. Kind of just blending in that color because some of it didn't blend quite through. Making it a little bit bigger. There we are. Dragging that glow upwards. I'm going back in and adding just a little bit more glow to certain areas after we blended it. Highlighting that gorgeous mountain. Making another kind of more glow because I blended it out before. It takes a lot of layers of paint like I said before. And we're blending. So just take your time and enjoy it. Enjoy the mixing of paints and, you know, laying it on the canvas. It's fun. Now here comes the fun part. Once you blended everything, you're going to take some white paint and some water. You're going to get it really watery. You're going to flick paint on there to make the stars in the sky. It's really easy to do. You don't have to sit there and make tons of little dots with a tiny paintbrush. This speeds it along and it makes it look like the galaxy up in the sky. And don't forget the edges. But all you do is you just take your index finger and it's almost like a little spray paint. All that water makes it easy to flick all that paint on there and to give the starry sky. And don't worry about all the spots on your mountain. You can go over that with a paintbrush and wipe it off, or wipe it off with a wet cloth really quick. And that's what I do. And I paint over a little bit of it, so don't worry. You can always paint over all that stuff. Probably should put the stars in when we do our background, but it's alright, it happens. Now I'm going to add some reflections a little bit into the water, some little water ripples. Also painting over our little star areas that we got onto the canvas there when we were making that. Fleshing out some of the ridges, doing some little detail work. That's always fun. Fine details are fun. All of painting's fun. Okay, you can see I fixed out the color there. I'm adding just a little bit of darkness to it. There we go, making it pop. Look at that. It's almost finished. This beautiful, beautiful landscape in the nighttime. I love stars and I love clouds and mountains. And just something so beautiful to look at. And then you can have it in your home to look at all the time. Now I'm going to take my liner brush and I'm going to add in just a few little tiny details of stars, where I think I wanted stars to be. Just a little bit, and there we go. Here we have our finished painting. You did it, and it looks beautiful. Look at all those stars. It's gorgeous. Next, we're going to varnish our painting. Make sure you let it dry for a while before you do this, but I'm going to show you how to do it. So this painting's been dried for a while. Put some varnish on. You are going to use your flat brush. It's an older flat brush, and it's really wide, and it spreads evenly with that varnish. Sometimes you can mix the varnish with a little bit of water, but there you go. This helps protect your painting, and it'll make it last a lot longer. And it gives it if you like high gloss, you can have it glossy like this, or you can get the matte version. But I always think the high gloss shine is gorgeous, and it makes any painting pop and look fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me and watching my video today. If you like what you see here, please subscribe to the link below, and remember to smile, clean your brushes, and I'll see you next time.